Hello, hello, welcome here, everybody. I am very excited to have you join us this Monday evening. And I'm excited for what we're going to talk about tonight because it's gonna be it's been something that's been on my heart for the last little while, and so I'm really looking forward to it. Um, Before all of that, today is St. Patrick's Day. Not something that I pay too much attention to, but I know a lot of the world does, and I am super thrilled that Plexus has a buy one, get one 50% off on our amazing greens. Yay! So I'm going to be making an order yet today. I keep forgetting, but I need to go make an order. So I think it's with the promo code Lucky One. Is that what it is? Yes. So all capital letters, Lucky One. The graphic is floating around everywhere. I'm pretty sure. Lucky day. Thank you, Paige. And I'm just gonna give it right over to Paige right away because she graciously volunteered to tell us more about this amazing greens today. I figured we needed to spotlight it because I know recently corporate said, we're not selling a lot of greens. And the funny thing is, I think it's because we're not talking about it enough. We are not talking about it enough. Um, because really, the greens that we have is the best one out there, like out of any. So, Paige, please enlighten us.
I feel I still have to make an order too. So as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yes, about that. And Kay, I don't know, maybe I had just such a blonde moment, but I was like, coincidence, greens and St. Patrick's Day, like green, green. I'm like, oh, that's really nice. Duh. Anyway, it's fine. It's all good. Anyway, in greens, I've actually not had greens before. So if you have, put it in the chat, tell me about it there. But I will tell you what is in it. Apple cider vinegar, beetroot, blueberry, carrot root, green rhizome powder. I don't know what that is, but I'll probably end up Googling it. Green cabbage leaf, kale, parsley leaf, and spinach. And like organic fermented fruits and veggies. Okay, soluble oat fiber and kombucha. And when I was reading about greens, um, a lot of women don't hit their fiber goals thanks to, low carb diets and things like that. So they're lacking in fiber, and like low amounts of fiber can actually negatively affect your hormone balance. And so it's important to have fiber. Now the insoluble fiber, oat fiber, I wanted to learn what that was. So let me just enlighten you because I enlightened myself. Okay, so here's what it is. Insoluble fiber, unlike soluble fiber, doesn't dissolve in water and helps promote healthy digestion by adding bulk to the stool, speeding up waste transit and preventing constipation. Oh, praise. Who doesn't who doesn't want to be constipated, right? Or yeah, you know what I mean. So it promotes regularity. It's preventing any kind of issues like blockages or hemorrhoids, anything like that. But it's also greens. So you're getting your fruits and your veggies when you think, oh, I can't eat that many in a day, right? I didn't even look at the numbers, but of, you do need a ton of fruits and veggies in a day, and greens solves that problem. So it's 15 calories, no sugar, gluten-free, non-GMO. You can add it to anything, like any other powder or drink within Plexus. You can add it to anything. I've not done it yet, so I can't even like offer up a testimony of it, but I'm sure someone here has. So there you have it. There and yeah, pancakes, protein balls, smoothies. I think Shelly, you said dips, and went and by said, I mean posted. But anyway, it's yeah, you're winning when you have it. So go order some. I have to order mine.
Thank you, Paige. It is. It's so good. It tastes good. It does settle in your cup, like you can see, and that is not a bad thing. That tells you of all the goodness that's in it that you have to mix it. I always drink mine with a straw. Like mom said, mixing it with a lemon lime hydrate is mm, chef's kiss. It's so good. Like a cup of ice. Oh, I cannot. I think the only thing for me is I need to get into the habit of t drinking it daily. Like I'm a here and there. It's one of those things like I used to be that way with the Ease capsules too, and then when I actually started taking them daily, it was like, oh my goodness. So that's one of the things I need to work on is actually drinking this daily and then in 30 days, 60 days being like, what's the difference? How's this impacting me? Because I know for me, I struggle with I don't digest leafy greens well, and so this is fermented leafy greens. So not only are you getting your good veggies in it, but they are fermented, which means they are better and more easily digestible for people that struggle with those kinds of things like I do. So win-win-win on all of the things. And yes, more good bacteria. So good. So thank you, Paige. Now everybody's going to go order greens because they're buy one, get one half off, which is an awesome steal. And I am excited. I'm going to be going to order more. Now, to pivot, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was something that I have been marinating in my head for the last little while, and I really prayed about it today, and I asked God to like help me to articulate it in a way that would um, bring clarity and make sense and bring encouragement in this journey, and that is servant leadership. What the Bible says about leadership and how Jesus was the best example of servant leadership that we ever could have. Like if you want to look at a true leader, we look at Christ. And so I'm going to be talking about six different things today on servant leadership and how when we're thinking about our network marketing business, when we're thinking about motherhood, about friendship, about marriage, again, like everything else that we learn, it impacts every aspect of your life. When we are thinking about all of these things, how these six topics impact and change our lives. So I first want, when we look at Matthew 20, chapter 20, verse 25 to 28, and I love this, it's really good. Jesus called them together and said, you know that the rulers of this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it's going to be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many. Whoever wants to be first has to be last. And whoever wants to be the leader must be the slave. It is not about, he says, like, you're going to see all of these leaders, you're going to see them lording it over you. I mean, we see it a lot right now. We are in a verschmuzzle of politics and all sorts of things. And my husband's told me today, he's like, well, it looks like we might have an election in Canada at the end of April. And I was like, oh gosh, more drama. Because that's what they do. When we look at politics, there's very little servant leadership in the midst of all of it. And so that's what I really want to focus on is how we can do this differently. How we can, when we're stepping into our businesses, when we are stepping into social media and into the world, even just in our friends groups, how we can be a living example of what it means to love like Jesus, but to also simply just be like a living example of what it looks like to be a good human being, to just live and breathe it. So, number one, how do you actually become a servant leader? So, number one is through integrity. Integrity is key. Now, I've always been a very black and white person growing up. I'm very type A, number one on the Enneagram. You want to list all the things, that's me. So, integrity has always been a very big deal for me. You do what you say, but it goes to being so much more than that. It's not, it's about to do righteousness and justice. But if we are true servant leaders, this has to embody our whole lives. We can't cheat, we can't lie, we can't manipulate. When somebody comes to you, you ask them if they've spoken to anybody else, and if they have, you send them back. And even though, oh my goodness, that could have been number six for you to get the iPad, it's still not the right thing to do. You still send them back because that's your integrity at question. And at the end of the day, years down the road, having done the right thing is going to matter more than if you got that iPad or not. That's going to be more impactful than anything before, anything else. Our actions should always reflect our values. And I'm a firm believer that what I put out is what is going to come back to me. Just and so honestly, when I am, and I can say this from experience because I haven't always done the right thing and I have regrets in what I how I've done some things. But when I am working my business and how I treat the people around me, very often you will see leaders who are doing it with selfish motives. It comes back to them. And their teams end up doing the same things to them later on because that is what they were taught and that is what they were shown. And my goal and my dream and my desire is for us to all be able to link arms and to have that true one plexus mentality of how we are a community that works together. We lift each other when somebody else is down and broken, you know? So integrity, number one. Number two, humility. Um, this is so key. And we're living in the day and age where every kind of resource, every kind of knowledge is at our fingertips. We just Google it. We ask ChatGPT. I just asked ChatGPT something about hormones. I'm learning new things, okay? I was very anti-ChatGPT. I am learning new things and this is humility for me. I'm literally talking about humility. Oh, I was so anti-ChatGPT. I was like, oh, it's AI is just disgusting. And here I am learning new things. Humility is being willing to admit that we don't know it all. We don't know it all. Being willing to, yes, I know you're going to say, I told you so, Mom. I know. Don't rub it in my face, okay? I know. Being willing to always be the learner, to be a learner of people, of situations, of cultures, of that we create this table of diversity of people that are coming around and sitting down and having more time to listen than to speak, to really learn people. I years ago I made this deal with myself. I said, every person I'm going to meet is going to teach me a lesson. Some people, it may not be a positive one. It may be a lesson of what I don't want or who I don't want to become or of oh, that made me feel that way. I'm going to remember that so I don't treat other people like that. But every person can teach me a lesson that I can move forward with and have an open mind of being like, oh my goodness, how she just made me feel. Like I remember meeting Sonia Dudley for the first time and I was like, oh, I want to make people feel like that. I want to make them feel like they're just like I know them. Like they're so welcomed and loved and that's how I wanted to make people feel and I made a mental note of that and that is what I wanted. Number three, flexibility. Flexibility, when I was thinking about this, flexibility to me brought me back to when my babies were really little. I'm in a season now where I think that things have gotten a lot easier because I don't have tiny babies anymore. They're a lot more self-sufficient and is life busy? Yeah, but the demands upon me have lessened. Um, but when I thought about flexibility, I thought about what my mom used to always say to me when my babies were little. And I so badly, we needed this income. We needed to grow this business. I knew what I wanted, but she always told me, Sheila, you can either choose chaos and embrace it, or you can choose control and stay where you're at. Those were my options. This is where flexibility comes in. Things are not always going to go the way we want them to. That is life. And I, being, like I said, a very type A type person, I like things a certain way. Um, I like to do things a certain way. I just, if I would be that person that if I had never gotten married and I never had kids, I gotta say, probably wouldn't be the nicest person. Let's just be real. I would be so stuck in my ways of how I did things every day. My husband and kids are the best thing that have ever happened to me because they have taught me to be flexible and to be willing to have my plans change and to be open to trying new things. As much as I would love to sit down and be able to just do my IPA perfectly every day, it doesn't look perfect every day. Because who knows, I might have that one person who comes and knocks on my door and we end up standing in my entrance for an hour. But maybe that's what she needed. Or maybe my grocery trip ends up taking longer because I had that one person that we ended up standing in the aisle for 20 minutes and just chatting, even though it drives my kids nuts when I do that. Is willing to be flexible when things change. When you know of somebody in your circle that is struggling with something, so you drop everything to go and give them a hand, whatever it might be. It's willing to be flexible to know that even if things don't quite turn out the way that you want, you know that God has everything under control. And he has this bigger picture in mind. It's willing to know that when you're sitting down and you're like, I'm going to do my work, and then all of a sudden you think of this one person. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't. That one person is the person that you need to talk to right in that moment. So it can be very easy to get stuck in routines. I'm very good at that. But being willing to embrace the chaos is where you're going to find that you grow and you're going to be led in the right direction of the people that need you the most. When I was stuck with control and I just held on to things with such tight fists, I did not have my hands open to receive any blessings or to give any blessings because I was too worried about making sure that my day to day would look exactly the way I wanted it to, that I held everything that was good away from myself and from others. And so be willing to be flexible. Be willing to remember that we're not in control. Number four, resilience. I like to call it grit instead. I like the word grit. It's fun. Um, we get to be gritty. And this is something that you have to learn. It does not just happen overnight. I am reading a book I do my morning walks on my treadmill. I'm reading a book called The Bait of Satan, and it's about being offended easily. How in the Bible it tells us that one of the worst things that can happen to anybody is to get easily offended. Nothing's going to trip you up more than if you get offended. Nothing is going to throw away your testimony or throw away the impact that you have on other people is to get offended. I mean, gosh gracious, can we look at our world right now? You look at a person wrong and they're offended. Nobody has any grit anymore. Nobody has any resilience to being okay with somebody not thinking the same thing as them. We need more resilience. We need more grit. Life is always going to have challenges, fights that we can't win, mountains that we just can't climb, and dark valleys where there just doesn't look like there's a way out. That is life. There are always going to be people that are not for you. And honestly, very often it is your family. Very often it is going to be your closest friends. They might not see what you see. They might not have the vision that you have. And if God has put this on your heart that this is what you're supposed to be doing, then listen to that. That's the only thing that matters. It does not matter what everybody else thinks because at the end of the day, their opinion is not going to get you where you want to be. It's not going to bring those blessings into your life. Only following God's will for your life will do that. And and I know most of us here can completely rely on that in the fact that a lot of our families have mocked us and laughed at us. And my closest friends that I've had from childhood on, they don't even use Plexus. They want nothing to do with it. They don't want to know what I'm doing and they'll smile and nod, but that's it. And that's okay because they don't have my vision. They're not going where I'm going, but I know where I'm going. And I had to develop that and be willing to like water off a duck's back that it's okay if not everybody sees what I see. That's okay. It truly is. So a servant leader can recognize that struggles in life are real. That's not to diminish it at all, but we're not in control again. God's in control. And so resilience isn't the absence of fear, the absence of challenges or failures. Resilience is your ability to be able to, even when you've been knocked down, even when you've been kicked down, it's your ability to get back up. It's your ability to, yeah, that one hurt a lot, um, but it's not going to stop me. I'm going to continue on. If you're somebody that really struggles with getting offended easily, I would really recommend The Bait of Satan by John Bevere. I think that's how you say his name. Anyways, it's really good. It's really good. So, number 5, stewardship. When you think of stewardship, do most people think of money? Because that's how the word is used a lot. Um, but I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about your gifts. Stewardship is so much more than just money. It is about your time. It is about the gifts that God has given you. It is about your capacity. It's about all the things. How are you stewarding these items that you have been given in the best way possible? And I felt convicted as I was sitting and thinking about this. I was like, I am not the best steward of my time. I really could like improve in that area. And my gifts, how do I steward my gifts? Am I really truly leaning into what I am good at and using that for the betterment of the people around me? Now, in leadership, it's not just about your gifts, it's also about when you're leading people and you have um, a platform on social media, even if you just have 10 followers, you have 10 followers. Imagine if you were in a room with 10 people in there and they were all looking to you. How impactful would that feel? You get to call out their gifts and speak life into the people around you. That is also an impactful form of stewardship when you are a servant leader, is about seeing, taking the time to get to know people and then seeing, you know what, she really, really is amazing at this. And then telling them and being that person that speaks life into people. Most people, what they hear on a day-to-day basis is not positivity. It's not encouragement. Like that whole quote of everybody's walking around with a sign around their neck, encourage me. Everybody is deprived of encouragement. We are. We are. And so a true servant leader is one that sees those needs and meets them, that goes out and looks at her team. I love what Amber said. She said this a few times now. I think she said it at a convention, she said at a leaders retreat, she said it on a few calls, that when she sits down in the morning and she'll just start sending voice messages to people on her team, just speaking life into them, telling them what she sees in them and how proud she is of them, and encouraging them. Words matter. Words really matter. I'm a big words person. Like, words of affirmation is huge for me. So it's not just about managing your money wisely. That's important. It is also about how are you using your time? Like a lot of us are like, oh, we don't have a lot of time. That's often how it feels. But if I was really going to sit down and do an audit of my day, I would have to eat a whole tootload of humble pie on that one. Like, let's be real. What about my gifts? How am I stewarding my own gifts? Am I using them to really impact the people around me? Like just thoughts that rumble around in my head. So, stewardship. Next, number 6. is empathy. And this one is huge. Um, we have had so much pain and heartache in our team in the last while. And a lot of us know how that feels. And oh my goodness, I have so often just sat here and wished, man, I wish we were all like close, like geographically wise, close, because the distance sucks. The distance really, really sucks. But empathy, when you have people on your team, the most important thing to remember is, yes, we are in a numbers business, but the people that you're working with are not just a number. They are souls, important, precious souls that need your compassion and love more than anything else. That is the most important. When people know how much you care, that is when they really build trust in you. And you have to truly care. You can't just pretend to care. I've had people pretend to care about me, and you can tell the difference. You have to truly, truly care. It's so easy for us to get hyper focused on tasks and the work that we do, and work and accomplishing our goals is very important. We all have things that we are working towards. Um, but if we're not careful, we can start to see people as problems that need to be solved instead of human beings that need to be loved. And if we're going to be really honest, if we're going to spend that time loving human beings, again, I believe if firmly it's one of those things that comes back to you. This is where you see um, teams in Plexus where something happens and that entire team rallies around them because they have this culture of love and that they really, really, really trust each other. And I feel like we have that here. And I'm so grateful for that. And so anybody that comes in, I want them to experience that and to feel that impact of how it feels to be truly cared for. It, this is what you deserve. This is what you want. This is where affiliate marketing gets it wrong. Affiliate marketing is just about the sale. They're not building teams, they're not building communities, they're not connecting. You see an influencer sharing a link and people go and buy from it, but there's no connection, there's no relationship. Network marketing gets this right. Network marketing is about loving on people, building up people, encouraging people to grow and to learn together. That is where we are. That is where we are at. That is what we want. And I promise you that give it time. The cards are all falling into the right place. One of my good friends today, she was at the top of a certain company that has a similar colored drink to us. She left today. She left because it is not what it's all cracked up to be. The grass may always look greener on the other side, but it's not. It's greener where you water it. And if you're going to water your precious little team and love on them and highlight their gifts and love on the people in your social media, and this is like, I love doing little checkups on people in my IPA. Just how are you? How are you really? Let's have a conversation. And when you ask, people are gonna dump it all out on you. Be a listening ear. They need that. They need that. So a servant leader is someone who can see people through the eyes of Jesus. It's not just a number. That is a precious soul that is just asking to be cared for and loved. And that's the kind of leader that people follow. And so a servant leader's primary focus is on the growth and well-being of others, leading and loving people like Christ instills purpose in our lives. And I've thought about this a lot. Like I've been in Plexus now for I think it's almost 11 years. Is that how long? I think so. Yep. And there's a lot of things that I'm really proud of in my journey, and there's other things that I wish I had done differently. Um, I had such a good friend join me years ago, right after we moved to the city. And I think she was one of the hardest signups I have ever had because she asked me every question in the book. She wanted to know all the details. And at that time, I had only known her for a little while. I met her at a vendor event and we became really good friends. She was so special to me and to my kids. Um, and then she got sick and she's not with us anymore. And there's so many things now looking back that I'm so grateful for. I'm grateful for Plexus for bringing us together, that I had her in my life. And then there's other things where it's like, man, I could have been an even better servant leader to her in so many ways. And then not to look back on it and to be like to demean yourself, because this was my journey just as much as it was hers. But to use that now going forward as a lesson of, do you know what? I can love better. I know I can give more. I know I can be a better leader. I will still always make mistakes because I'm human. But to use that as a fuel for my fire and an encouragement for the future, right? Um, and to as use that most of all as a reminder of these are people, precious people that matter so much, so much. And so at the end of the day, that is what we are here for. The numbers, the prizes, all of it is great. The trips, it's fantastic. Love it. Never gonna downplay it. But the people are what matters. It's the people that change everything. And so I will gather, my notes are so messy, but I will gather these up and I will make a post of them in the team page if you didn't get a chance to write them down. So, and I think that Mom, you had something that you wanted to take out to continue from here on, right?
Yes, because there's so much in what you said. That was really good. Thank you, by the way. If you have not seen
Oh,
the
I was
Bob
going to
like
mention that.
if you have not seen the Bob Heilig training that he did last week for Brittany Howard's team, a lot, and this is why I never believe in coincidences. Sheila hadn't even seen it, and she gathered all these points by herself out of her heart. And I said, this sounds like the training that Bob Heilig did. I'm going to get rid of this cat. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it because it is literally love, serve, and grow. And I love what he says in this industry, and Amber has touched upon it multiple times. It's not just networking and doing marketing. Your network is the people that you can lovingly market to and give them a solution while you yourself are growing. And so I find like everybody is it the whole world of network marketing is changing. And I feel like, and a lot of people are talking about this as well, so it's not just me. I feel like Plexus has done this all along. We've always been about doing network marketing the way it could be done, should be done, but rarely ever is done. Alex words, right? And that was the saying that I heard when I first came to Plexus 11 years ago. I heard that. I didn't even know what network marketing was. But I knew when Sonia Dudley said, if you're going to love your people well, they will learn to listen to you leading. And you see it all over in other companies. It's not working the way that they're doing, right? So it's definitely working what Plexus is doing. So if you haven't seen that, go watch it yet. But thank you so much. Those were excellent points.
Can I
Very good.
interrupt you for two
Yes.
seconds? Because there's something that I want, um, I'm missing one piece. I'm missing
Oh,
one piece.
good.
Um, I had actually asked Paige to share a little bit about this because she and I talked recently and she does this very naturally. Like loving on people, serving people, it's something that comes incredibly naturally to her. And looking through at all of these lovely faces, there's a few people in here that I think about that just have in the last little while so given so much of themselves. And so I had actually asked Paige to share a little bit about some practical ways that she has been um, sharing and caring and serving the people around her in the last while. And I don't want to miss that.
Um, I had to think about it. And growing up, we always, I don't know, it was just kind of bred into us. Like you just serve. Like you keep your hands out and you just serve. And we grew up that way and it was always fun. It was always like, drop a bucket of cookies off and like hightail it out of there so no one knows it's actually you. And or a bucket of ice cream, like a 4-liter pail of ice cream and pies. Like we would just leave stuff on people's doorsteps and it was a lot of fun. And then, fast forward to when you're an adult and you realize that yes, those are fun, but then the need was to show love. Like it was just to show love. And anyway, so I thought now like what are the things that I do? And a big one is to listen for the need. Um, and like, for example, a friend of ours, her husband fell and broke his leg. And what I'm thinking is she has 5 kids. And what I'm thinking is the need that she's not saying out loud, but do those kids need a ride to school or extracurricular activities? She's not saying anything. She's just saying, oh, my husband fell and broke his leg. Right. But there's a need there, right? Maybe she's so super busy that she needs a meal. Um, and so it's just listening for the need that's not being said directly. And, another one, our teachers, I didn't realize this, our teachers are in negotiations right now. And could they, oh, and our EAs are on strike. So they're out of the building and our school has the highest amount of EAs at our school. And it's heartbreaking because you see the need of the teachers. And I've emailed all the teachers that I know to say, do you need an extra set of hands? Do you need to whatever, right? And it was just, and it's not that anyone ever came out to say, we need mothers to volunteer, or we need volunteers. It was, hey, like our teachers are just having a hard go. And then the immediate thought is, how can I support you? And same with our EAs. How can I support you? And what does that look like? Well, I can come and visit you and I can bring my kids to come and visit you. And the thing too is service is not convenient. Sometimes it takes time and effort and sacrifice. And it's not, but the blessings that come from serving are like tenfold. I think as like the server and the servee, like it just, I don't know, it just kind of expands your heart 10,000 times. So, but that has been a big thing, just listening to the need, building the connections, right? Like would I love all 55 teachers to be a part of my business? Absolutely. But I would rather be known for my service and my relationship with them before ever a business. So anyway, that's what I do. But I'd say the main part is just listening to the need that's not actually being said.
Mm.
That's so good. That's so good. So thank you so much for that. I was just having a chat with Lena on, she's right there. Hi, Lena. And yes, you last month, uh, she talked about how she didn't know her neighbors. And I said, bring them some cookies or something. And so she did. And so I think you brought them a fresh loaf of bread or something and invited her neighbor lady for coffee. And her neighbor lady had been desperate for community. And now they've gotten together multiple times and are hitting it off so well. And she's going to connect with more of her neighbors. It can be the smallest things. It really can. And I remember we moved so many times when we lived in the city. And I remember doing the same thing. I would bring cookies to my neighbors or whatever it may be, knock on their door and invite them for tea. I have had my neighbor's lady her Great Dane sit on my couch, like his legs stretching into my dining room. Like the things but those people, I'm still connected to them. I care about their lives. And when her dog died, I cried with her because that was her baby. Like those relationships, it can be the smallest things. It's just showing people that you really do care, that you really care, and that you're not alone. So many of us, we go through this life busy, 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 and we feel so alone. And it's because we have so much of that aspect of community gone. And it can take just that one little reaching out your hand and saying, "Hey, let's do this together," and being willing to listen. So, um, you guys are the best examples to me. There's so many more that I could bring up here, and I love it. I love it so much. So thank you for sharing that, Paige.
I love what you mentioned there. It's actually being able to not just hear, like you said, oh, my husband broke his leg, but to listen beyond that. Because we all know that that in itself would come with circumstances, right? And those circumstances are probably where the need lies. And so that's where our listening comes in again. I love that so much. This has been so good because I feel like I need reminders. I need reminders of what to see beyond of what we see daily, right? A little while ago, I did a post on that when we were coming home from the cruise and how it can be right in front of your eyes, but exactly like Paige said, it's often inconvenient. We're either in a hurry or we're already doing something else, right? Like it's in front of you. We have to choose to do it. We have to choose to do it. So I gathered a couple of points on basically on growth, but this is more towards our marketing side of how we would be relating these points to our audience and bringing people in. So there's 4 short points that I'm quickly going to cover because I feel like I was able to bring them together because I had been reading about this. And so I pulled them together with exactly what Sheila was saying. It's so weird. So often we don't talk at all. And then we plan team call and then it's just like, whoosh, it fits. So this was definitely from God. It's not us doing it. We're just relaying the message. So this is 4 points to better influential growth. And I think all of these things that Sheila talked about today is being influential. We're growing ourselves to be a bigger influence and a bigger impact on others. And what that means is it takes the eyes off of ourselves, puts it on other people, which in itself is going to help other people grow. But that in itself is going to help us grow, right? Okay, so number 1, people don't buy when they understand you. They buy when they feel understood. And I feel like this is such a big piece of what we do. It's where I think about, are we talking at people or are we talking to people? Right? How are they hearing us? Your audience doesn't need more information, they need connection. If your content isn't landing, it's not because it's not good, it's because they're not relating. So we want to make that relatable, right? They're going to buy when they feel understood. So the easiest way to sell is to show your audience that you get them better than anyone else. It's that I get it. I've been there. I can understand where you're coming from. It's those conversations, right? It's the empathy, it's the integrity, the humility. So we can stop teaching. We don't have to know everything. Phew, a lot of us say we don't need to teach. And we can start speaking what's already on their mind. And it causes us to drop our walls and become more vulnerable. Number 2, you don't need more clients. You need to be the person that your dream clients are already searching for. And it's interesting to watch people online because people are looking for something if they know it or not, because it will, whatever they're looking for is going to stop them in their tracks. If our connection is not stopping them, then we're not being relatable, right? So if you have to convince people to work with you, then there's a messaging gap. Something is missing in this conversation, right? There's a connection gap. So the clients that you want are not scrolling looking for help. They're looking for the person who makes them stop scrolling. I really like that because if I think about what stops me from scrolling, right? Think about what stops you. When you're scrolling, you're just kind of mindlessly going through. What stops you? What catches your attention? To me, okay, this might be a little bit of my ADHD brain, but if there's a long post with no white spaces, my brain goes whoosh, and then I scroll on by. It's like it's icy there. I'm not even stopping. It's got to be like captivating, and the first part has to be catching your attention, right? Authority isn't about how much you know, it's about how clearly you can communicate. And often, short posts are better than long ones. It's about how clearly you can communicate, right? It's like Sheila said in the beginning, how can I articulate this well that it's going to land on people that they hear my heart? Because that hearing is going to make that connection. Number 3. Oh, wait a little bit. When you learn how to clearly communicate, it makes it impossible for the right people to ignore you. That stood out to me. When we talk about, oh, I'm just getting crickets, they're not listening, they're not reading, they're not responding. Something isn't landing right. Something isn't connecting, right? So we get to go back to ourselves and say, okay, so how am I building that connection? Am I being relatable? How are people responding to my post? Is that, or in a conversation, are people responding and coming back to you, right? Okay, number 3. The easiest way to make more money isn't to sell more. Again, I feel like this is where other people that have gone into affiliate marketing, and if that's what they want, by all means, please don't take it that I hate affiliate marketing. I buy a ton of stuff from other people. I just don't want to be selling thousands and thousands of things per month. I want my work to pay me over and over and over. The easiest way to make more money isn't to sell more. It's to remove the reasons people are not buying. So if we remove the reasons that they're not buying, they're going to have more sales, right? Confusion is the number one reason people don't invest. Does your offer make instant sense? People are in such a buy me quick microwave mindset nowadays. If your offer is confusing and it has a lot of steps to it, they're probably going to scroll on by regardless of how bad they need it. And this is where we feel that our audience isn't engaging, right? It's not because they're not interested. They are probably interested. It's because they don't see themselves in your content. Whatever you're sharing, they don't see themselves in that because it's probably confusing or too long or not clear enough. And that's our whole instant world. It's the microwave mindset, right? And so if we can simplify our sales process and remove all the steps of do this and then this and then, just clarify it, simplify it, bring it down simple. You need gut health. Do you want me to send you a combo? This is where you should start. Let's do it now. Okay, good. Bye. It can be so very simple, right? And we often feel like we need to ask all the questions. We need to make sure that we get them the right thing. You know what? Getting them started needs to be the simplest thing ever. And it doesn't mean that you are not doing a good job. It means that you're making it easy for them. So instead of trying to create more demand, look at what is silently repelling the demand that you already have. When people look at what you have, are they saying, oh, that's too hard? I can't take 5 different pills a day. Maybe they haven't even started with one. Maybe they should just start with pink drink. Who knows? Right? Start them somewhere. And if it's repelling them to think it's too complicated, then it's on us to clarify and simplify, right? Okay, number 4, this is a big one because I feel like we first have to get very clear on this one. Your brand isn't what you say it is. It's what the people say about you when you're not in the room. Sometimes causes the whites of our eyes to go open a little bit, right? People aren't just buying from you, they're buying into what you represent. And so your content is either making you unforgettable or forgettable. It'll be either one. The most powerful brands are built on a feeling because emotions move people. And so that's why we always say stories sell. Facts tell, stories sell. Why do stories sell? Because they carry emotions. It's the feelings that are relatable to other people. When you share a story that's vulnerable and something that you walk through, right? Looking for the other people that are also going through that. So you don't need a bigger audience. You need a reputation that precedes you. I love that part because you know what? All this stress that we have about content creation, about what to post, about how to show up in your stories. Really, if you look at this and you think about yourself, if you show up in your gifts and your talents of who you are, that's all you need to do. You are going to attract the right people. It's when we have the walls up for protecting ourselves because we don't want to be totally vulnerable online because it feels a little bit like some imposter syndrome going on here, right? We have all this mind things that goes through our brains and we struggle to actually relate our message well. And then you see someone come online and they're just like 1,000% being themselves, putting it out there, and people relate to that so much. It's not that we dump garbage out there. We're just showing up as who we are. If you don't feel like it's perfect, it doesn't need to be. If you don't feel like you didn't say the things perfectly right and you stumbled, that's fine. Post it anyway. Show up as who you are and the rest will follow. And if you your way through describing something, your way through it. It doesn't matter. That's you. It's you explaining it. Right? It doesn't need to be someone else's perfection. Jessica Heffley has some really, really good posts on these. She had one the other day that was perfection is the lowest standard of achievement. Is that what she said? Oh, it was so good. Why do we even aim for, we should always be aiming to grow ourselves, but we should never aim for perfection because no one is perfect and we don't need to be, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. I can definitely post these as well. I can share them. Any one of them that stood out to you guys? To me, I think it was more the branding. Like your brand isn't what you say it is. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. And I think we just had the conversation a little bit in our chat today here on Zoom. It's hard when family says things about you. It's hard when your friends kind of ignore you because of what you do, right? And I'm just reading Ramona's comment. I've been called weird more than once. And you know what? The right people will come to stand with you. Stay true to who you are and be exactly that person online as what you are in person. It's been 11 years of us building this business. And I can tell you that family is slowly coming around and asking questions of where we're traveling to, asking questions of, your company filled up that whole ship? Like a whole cruise ship? Yeah, they did. It took them 11 years to ask questions like that. We have to make people feel safe to be able to ask that, right? And it's okay if they don't. That's okay too. So there's going to be like, yeah, you definitely forgive them and move on. All right. Any of those that stood out to you that you felt were like more of what you have been dealing with? All right, I'm going to post these in a chat and get them written up a little bit. I have them in point form, so I'm going to have to, I'm always going off the top of my brain. But thank you so much, Sheila and Paige, for tonight. That was really, really good. I feel like this is like fertilizer to growth. It is so good to focus on the things that we know that we can grow in. We still have the IPA chat going. If you want to be added in, please ask. There's a whole bunch of people working away on their IPA. I think it was Trina that said she had like 50, or was it Sheila had some 50 some conversations. Trina had like almost 30. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. All those conversations are going to be leading to people being impacted and influenced. That's what makes the difference of what we do. All right. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. Take care. Good to see you.
Yeah, everybody.